The Manchester Derby is one of the most intense and historic rivalries in English football between two of the city's biggest clubs, Manchester United and Manchester City. Over the years, this match has grown in significance, capturing the hearts of football fans worldwide. From legendary players to unforgettable moments, the derby is more than just a game. It is a symbol of pride, passion, and the spirit of competition. In this story, we will dive into the rich history of the Manchester Derby, where every match tells a new chapter of excitement and emotion. The origin of the Manchester Derby traces back to the early 1900s, when Manchester and Manchester United were not yet the powerhouses they are today. The story begins with two clubs that were once united in spirit but soon became fierce competitors. United, originally known as Newton Heath, struggled in their early years, facing financial difficulties and lack of the success on the pitch. City, known as Hardwick before their name change, also faced a challenge in their quest for prominence in English football. The rivalry started to take shape when both teams began to rise in the following world. In 1894, Newton Heath was saved from financial ruin by local businessman John Henry Davies, who invested in the club and changed its name to Manchester United. A few years later, Hardwick also began its own claim to success, eventually becoming Manchester City. As the years passed, both clubs started to find their footing in the league, and the match between them began to attract more attention. The first competitive meeting between Manchester United and Manchester City took place in 1881 in the FA Cup, but it was not until the early 20th century that the derby really gained momentum. The rivalry grew not only because of the proximity of the clubs, but also due to their contrasting styles of play and success. The Manchester Derby was no longer just about local bragging rights. It became a clash of footballing philosophies, a battle of supremacy in the city. This fierce competition would only intensify as both clubs achieved greater success, each claiming their share of glory and becoming two of the most successful clubs in English football history. The rivalry would soon be defined by unforgettable match, dramatic moments, and growing sense of anticipation before each encounter. The Manchester Derby truly began to evolve after Second World War. The 1940s and 1950s marked a turning point for both Manchester United and Manchester City as they began to build their identities, not just as football teams, but as representative of two distinct sections of the city. The post-war years were crucial for Manchester United, especially under the leadership of Sir Matt Busby. United rose to prominence after the war, establishing themselves as a football powerhouse. However, this rise was not without tragedy. In 1958, the Munich air disaster devastated the club, claiming the lives of 23 people, including 8 players. Despite this heartbreaking loss, Manchester United rebuilt itself, fueled by resilience of Busby and the talent of players like Bobby Charlton and George Best. United resurgence made them not only symbol of hope but also dominant force in English football. Their consistent performance put pressure on Manchester City, intensifying the rivalry as City sought to challenge their neighbors. Manchester City had their share of success during this time. The team captured the heart of fans with their innovative style of play, led by manager Joey Mercer and coach Malcolm Allison. In 1968, City achieved one of their greatest triumphs, winning the league title in dramatic fashion on the final day of the season. What made it even sweeter was the fact that they finished ahead of Manchester United, reinforcing the city's split loyalty and rivalry. The games between the two clubs during this period were fiery and full of passion. Players on both sides understood the stakes. This was more than just football. It was about pride, identity, and and representing the city. The local fans added fuel to the fire with their unwavering support for their respective teams, making every derby a thrilling spectacle. One of the most notable matches of this era was in 1974 when Manchester United faced relegation. In cruel twist of fate, City's Dennis Law, a former United legend, scored the goal that sealed United drop to the second division. The moment symbolized how deeply intertwined the clubs' fortune had become and how the derby had the power to define a season or even a generation. As the rivalry grew, it became clear that the Manchester derby was no longer just a local affair. It was becoming a fixture that captured the imagination of football fans across the country, setting the stage for a decade of competition to come. At 1980 and 1990 were a decade of change for Manchester United and Manchester City. While United experienced a meteoric rise under Sir Alex Ferguson, City struggled to find consistency. The contrasting fortune of the two clubs during this period added a new dynamic to the Manchester derby, with one team becoming dominant and the other fighting to stay relevant. When Sir Alex Ferguson was appointed as Manchester United manager in 1986, the club was in a period of decline. Far removed from its glorious past, Ferguson's early years were challenging. But his vision for rebuilding United began to bear fruit in the 1990s. United won their first league title under Ferguson in 1993, ending a 26-year drought, and soon became the dominant force in English football. This newfound success meant that the derby became more of a battle for Manchester City to prove their worth. For United, the derby was just one more step in their journey toward dominating the Premier League, but for City, it was about pride and survival. The 1980 and 1990 were difficult years for Manchester City. The club went through numerous managerial changes and financial instability, which made it hard to compete at the same level as their rival. But 1996, City was relegated to the second tier of English football, a stark contrast of the height United was achieving. Despite their struggle, City remained a club with passionate fans who kept the spirit of the derby alive. For City supporters, every clash with United was an opportunity to remind their neighbors that Manchester belonged to them too, no matter the league standings. One of the most memorable matches of this period was the derby in 1989, when City stunned United with a 5-1 victory at Main Road. Despite United's growing dominance, this game showed the City could still deliver unforgettable performance. The victory became a rallying point for City fans during tough times, a reminder that they could still challenge their illustrious rival. On the other hand, the 1993 derby at Old Trafford showcased United's superiority. Eric Cantona, the talismanic French forward, scored twice to secure a 3-2 win for United. Cantona's brilliance optimized United's resurgence under Ferguson, while City struggled to keep up. By the late 1990s, the derby had shifted in significance. For United, the rivalry with Arsenal, their main challengers for Premier League title, often overshadowed the Manchester derby. However, for City, every day remained a chance to show they could still compete with their historic rival. Despite the growing gap between the two clubs, the passion of the derby never faded. The fans' chant, the fiery tackle on the pitch, and the emotional roller coaster of each match kept the spirit of the rivalry alive, setting the stage for an eventual resurgence by Manchester City. At 2000 marked a turning point of the history of the Manchester derby. For years, Manchester United had dominated English football, while Manchester City had languished in the shadow, struggling to stay in the Premier League. But with the arrival of new ownership and massive financial backing, Manchester City transformed into a club capable of challenging their neighbors for dominance, reigniting the derby in dramatic fashion. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, Manchester United continued to thrive in the early 2000s, winning multiple Premier League titles, FA Cup, and the UEFA Champions League in 2008. Players like Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wayne Rooney became household names, cementing United's status as one of the most successful clubs in the world. For much of this period, the derby seemed like an afterthought for United fans, who were more focused on rivalry with Arsenal and Chelsea. However, the rise of Manchester City would soon force United to take the derby more seriously. Manchester City fortune changed overnight in 2008 when the club was purchased by Sheikh Mansour and the Abu Dhabi United Group with unlimited financial resources. City began signing world-class players such as Robinho, Carlos Tevez, and Yaya Toure. Suddenly, City went from being underdogs to serious contenders, and the derby became a showdown between two powerhouses. This new era of the rivalry began with a symbolic moment. Carlos Tevez, a former Manchester United player, controversially joined City in 2009. Billboard across Manchester proclaimed "Welcome to Manchester," sending a clear message that City was ready to challenge United dominance. One of the most thrilling derbies of the decade came in September 2009 at Old Trafford. The match was high-stake, back-and-forth battle that ended in dramatic 4-3 victory for Manchester United. Michael Owen's 19th minute winner sent United fans into delirium and proved that City still had work to do to match their rival. The game was a statement of intent from both sides. United determined to maintain their dominance, and City eager to show they could compete at the highest level. City's resurgence continued to gather momentum as their squad improved. In 2011, they won their first major trophy in decades, lifting the FA Cup after defeating Stoke City. The same year, they thrashed Manchester United 6-1 at Old Trafford, a result that shocked the football world and announced City as genuine title contenders. This iconic victory became the symbol of the power shift in Manchester. For United fans, it was a humiliating defeat. For City supporters, it was a long-awaited moment of glory. By the end of the 2000s, the Manchester Derby had become a global phenomenon. With the City rise and United legacy, the rivalry captured the imagination of football fans worldwide. The match were no longer just about local pride. They were now battle between two of the biggest clubs in the world, each vying for supremacy. The 2010 was the decade when the Manchester Derby truly entered a new chapter of intensity and drama, with Manchester City now firmly established as a footballing powerhouse. The rivalry reached unprecedented height. The battle of supremacy between the two clubs escalated as the both teams fought for league title, domestic cups, and European glory. This was a period that saw records broken, legendary players emerge, and some of the most memorable derby moments ever witnessed. The early years of 2010 were still dominated by Sir Alex Ferguson's leadership at Manchester United. United won their 19th league title in 2011, surpassing Liverpool's long-standing record. However, as Ferguson's tenure neared its end, the club began to experience some challenge. The 2013 retirement of Sir Alex left a void that United struggled to fill, and in the year that followed, they failed to reclaim the Premier League title. Despite this, United remained competitive in domestic competition, with players like Robin van Persie, Wayne Rooney, and David De Gea continuing to perform at a high level. However, the growing threat from their neighbours was evident, and it was clear that the derby will now be an intense battle for both pride and trophies. Manchester City's transformation into a global giant was solidified in the 2010 thanks to substantial investment from the Abu Dhabi Group and the arrival of world-class players like Sergio Aguero, David Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne. In 2011, City won the FA Cup, and in 2012, they clinched the Premier League title in dramatic fashion, edging out United on goal difference in one of the most unforgettable final days in football history. The 2012 title win was particularly sweet for City fans, as it not only marked their first league title in 44 years, but also sent a powerful message to United that the balance of power in Manchester had shifted. The defining moment came in the final match of the season, when Aguero scored in the dying moment of the game to seal a 3-2 win over Queen's Park Rangers, clinching the title sensational fashion. Under the guidance of manager Roberto Mancini and later Manuel Pellegrini and Pep Guardiola, City continued to rise. By 2014, they had added a second Premier League title to their collection. Pep Guardiola, arrival in 2016, brought a new philosophy of football to the club, with a focus on possession-based attacking play that would make City one of the most dominant teams in Europe. The 2010s were filled with thrilling encounters between Manchester United and Manchester City, each one charged with emotion and significance. One of the most iconic derbies took place in April 2018 at the Etihad Stadium, when Manchester City crushed United for 2-0 to clinch the Premier League title in front of their bitter rival. The win was a symbolic moment, as it showed that City has officially taken the crown as Manchester's top team. United humiliation in their own backyard highlighted the changing landscape of the rivalry. Another unforgettable moment came in December 2017, when City triumphed 2-1 at Old Trafford, with goal from David Silva and Nicolas Otamendi. The win confirmed City's dominance in Manchester and sent a shockwave through United, who are left trailing behind in the title race. However, it was not all one-sided. United managed to claim a memorable 3-2 victory at the Etihad in April 2018, a win that was highlighted by a sensational comeback. The match was a reminder that, despite City dominance, the derby was always unpredictable. By the 2010s, the Manchester Derby had become one of the most anticipated fixtures in the world football, with two of the wealthiest clubs in the world, a host of world-class players, and a rival steeped in the history. The game attracted millions of the viewers across the globe. Fans from all corners of the world tuned in to witness the drama unfold. The Manchester Derby was no longer just a local clash. It had become a global spectacle, drawing an audience from every continent. As the 2010s came to a close, it was clear that Manchester footballing landscape had changed forever, with City now firmly established as one of the Europe's elite clubs. The rivalry between the two sides would continue to grow, setting the stage for the next chapter of the Manchester Derby. At 2020 have been defining decade in the Manchester Derby, as both Manchester United and Manchester City continue to shape the future of English football. The rivalry, which has always been intense, has reached new level of drama, with both clubs battling not only for domestic dominance but for success on the European stage as well. This chapter explores how the latest encounters between these two giants have unfolded, and how both sides are evolving in an ever-changing football landscape. Since Pep Guardiola's arrival in 2016, Manchester City has enjoyed a period of unprecedented success. His philosophy of possession-based attacking football has brought City multiple Premier League titles, with a squad full of stars like Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Phil Foden, and Grealish. Guardiola's tactical brilliance has made City the team to beat English football, and they have continued to dominate the Premier League, with City winning title in 2021 and 2022. The 2020 have also seen City establish themselves as a European powerhouse, with their side firmly set on the UEFA Champions League in 2023. City finally achieved the long-awaited European success they had been chasing, clinching the Champions League trophy in a dramatic final against Inter Milan. The victory not only solidified their place as one of the world's elite clubs, but also highlighted their supremacy in Manchester as they continue to rise above their rival. Under Guardiola's stewardship, City has been able to maintain an air of invincibility, especially in the Manchester Derby. Their dominance has been punctuated by several victories over United, where their attacking brilliance and tactical superiority have been on full display. On other side of Manchester United has been in a period of transition since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure in 2013. While United's success has not matched that of their neighbours, the club has shown signs of a resurgence in the 2020s after a few years of managerial instability. United appointed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, followed by Ralf Rangnick and then Erik ten Hag in 2022. Each manager has tried to build a squad capable of challenging City dominance, but the road to recovery has been sure and full of challenges. Under Ten Hag, United has shown glimpses of its former glory, with players like Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho beginning to step up. The team's style of play has also evolved, focusing on high pressing, quick transition and counter-attacking football. However, the gap between United and City in terms of consistency and quality has remained evident. In the 2020s, Manchester United has faced an uphill battle in the derby. Despite some notable moments such as a 2-1 win at the Etihad in 2022, United has struggled to assert themselves as equal to their neighbours. City's consistent dominance both domestically and in Europe has made it difficult for United to challenge for the Premier League title on a regular basis. The 2020s Manchester derbies have been more than just football match. They have been a microcosm of the fierce rivalry ambition that exists between these two clubs. One of the most notable moments came in March 2021 when Manchester City defeated Manchester United 2-0 at Old Trafford, further reinforcing their dominance. In contrast, United managed to get the better of the into 2-1 win at the Etihad in 2022, showcasing the unpredictability that the derby is known for. The arrival of Erling Haaland in 2022 has further tried to the balance in the City favor. The Norwegian striker has been nothing short of sensational, breaking record for fun in his first season. His goal-scoring prowess has made City even more formidable, and his performance in the derby have often been decisive. United, on the other hand, has struggled to find a clinical edge, with players like Cristiano Ronaldo and Rashford showing flashes of brilliance but failing to deliver consistently against their rival. As we move deeper into the 2020, the Manchester derby shows no signs of losing its intensity. While Manchester City remain the more dominant force in English football, Manchester United is determined to rebuild and reclaim their place at the top. The rivalry between the two clubs is now not only about domestic glory, but also about establishing themselves as force in European football. With players like Haaland, De Bruyne, Rashford and Fernandes leading the charge for their respective clubs, the derby is set to remain one of the most thrilling and highly anticipated fixtures in world football. Each match brings with it the promise of drama, excitement and unforgettable moments as both teams fight for pride, glory and the future of Manchester. The Manchester derby has transformed from a local clash into a global spectacle, representing the passion, history and competitive spirit of football. Over the decade, Manchester United and Manchester City have evolved into two of the most iconic clubs in the world, with their battle on the pitch reflecting their ever-changing fortune. From United's dominance under Sir Alex Ferguson to City's rise as a modern footballing dynasty, the derby has captured the imagination of fans worldwide. It has showcased the drama of football at its finest, moments of brilliance, heartbreak and unforgettable rivalry. As Manchester continues to shine as a footballing capital, one thing is certain: the Manchester derby will remain a symbol of what makes football so special. With both clubs determined to leave their mark, the derby is not just a story of two teams, but a testament of their enduring spirit of competition, pride and passion. Did this story ignite your love for football? Share your thought in the comments, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories like this one. Together, let's keep the spirit of football alive. Here in the ulimwengu wa simulizi.